Hello, welcome to this special episode of GTA 5 o'clock. I'm host Dan Dawkins and I'm joined by James Jarvis.
Hello.
We're here to investigate the mystery of the Infinite Eight and a phantom killer called Merl Abrams. Now, we initially believed this was linked to the UFO conspiracy, but it does seem in fact to be its own self-closed loop at a tangent. James, explain who is Merl Abrams.
Well, he seems to be a man who lived in Sandy Shores and has gone slightly crazy and is quite obsessed with the number 8, which we can find out by going to his house, which is still in Sandy Shores, but now it is a burnt-out wreck. It's probably worth pointing out that this is another serial killer, not the one that you get by collecting the 50 letter scraps in the main game that which goes towards your 100% completion. We do have a guide for that, so you can click the link, go and investigate that guide. But this seems to be a separate serial killer that happened some time before.
Yeah, and he seems to have developed a fixation with the number 8, that he doesn't write like 8, E-I-G-H-T. He always writes it as an 8, almost like an infinity symbol. Now you go to his house, and on the side of his house you can see scrawled in like paint and all blood, it's like red ink. It says, "Go away, Merl Abrams, you're a wrong 'un." And it seems that he really was driven away, and it looks like people like set fire to his house to drive him out of town. Now you can go in and investigate the charred remains of his house, and on the walls there's some telltale signatures, James.
Yeah, he's got written on the wall, again in a red and black sort of ink, possibly some of his blood. He says there will be 8, relating to what we think is the 8 people that he wanted to go and kill for some reason, I guess getting obsessed with this number 8. And we can also see a small drawing of what some people originally thought was Mount Chiliad with UFOs above it, which I think where this connection with the UFO conspiracy came from. But actually, it's the very northern tip of the map that has got a couple of islands up there as well, and that will become relevant a bit later on in the story.
Yeah, and you can also see there's like what they call the 5-bar gate, like the counting mechanic of strike 4 and cross through it. Now, that might be a suggestion that like 5 of the people had been killed, and at the stage that the graffiti was written, there were still 3 remaining. And in fact, we can see a little bit more graffiti where it just says 8 is just infinity stood up. So again, he seems to have some weird obsession with number 8. Now we do know Merl was driven out. He went out into the countryside, and I think if you head a little bit further north, isn't it, Sandy Shores, you can find some graffiti written on a rock, which is quite telltale.
It seems to be that after he got driven out of his house by the local residents, he went to live, no one's really quite sure, but we think we went to live in the desert or somewhere in a shack out in the desert somewhere. And from there he continued his sort of obsession with the number 8 and started writing on some of the rocks. And we can see here one of the poems that he wrote on the rocks to signify, I guess, his intentions and what he had planned.
Yeah, and in the context it seems quite clear. It says 1 is done, 2 was fun, 3 tried to run, 4 called mom, 5 not alive, 6 is nix, 7's in heaven, 8 won't wait. Now, whether again that means, it sounds like the first 7 have most definitely met their maker. The 8th is unclear. But yeah, we also notice he doesn't write the word 8, he's still scrawling it in all these different ways.
Yeah, that's right. And on another rock close by to that, he's also written another little poem that says, "They want me, they can have, but they'll never get my people, even though I shall leave them sign enough where they put me," which seems to be him indicating that he knows he's going to get caught eventually by the police, and he thinks he's going to get put in prison, but he'll always have the bodies that he has already killed.
Yeah, no, that's actually a clue. You'll find out there's a bit of text coming up where he says, "Even though I shall leave them sign enough where they put me," we do know where they put him, and it appears to be in the prison, which we've tried to break into previously, related to the UFO conspiracy. And Block 9A apparently has text from Merl on it, which is again a further clue to the location of the Infinite 8.
Yeah, and the 9A prison cell was circled on the blueprint map.
Yeah.
Which is why initially it sort of have connections with UFOs as well. But it looks like it was a hint to go there and find this bit of text. It's actually on one of the recreation yard walls that you can find this, which is just next to prison cell 9A.
Right.
And it's a big hint to where he has put some of his victims.
Yeah, it says, "Where water meets land and fire once spewed forth, there the Infinite 8 shall stay until I return." Now, again, where water meets land, again, that is a hint at what's in the drawing. It's the islands to the north of Palito Bay. And fire once spewed forth, you know, sounds like a dormant volcano, which again we do know has been talked about in that area. So if you head up to that area and explore with your scuba suit, it seems like the mystery can to an extent be solved.
Yeah, there are, after some quite intensive searching, we found 5 bodies under the water that are sort of bound in wrappings and had obviously he's put them there so he can go back and find them later on, maybe when he gets out of prison. But if you have a bit more of a hunt around Sandy Shores, you can find some more evidence about how this whole thing came to conclusion.
Yeah, it's possible to find like a burnt scrap of newspaper clipping, which again we debated this, December 2008 possibly it's from, or 2000. It's quite hard to read the last letter. I think it's 2008. It says suspected killer Merl Abrams dies in prison. It says Merl Abrams, the suspected Infinity killer, passed away last night in Bolingbroke Penitentiary while awaiting trial for abduction and torture. Abrams, 57, was suspected to be responsible for the Infinity murders, a series of disappearances that happened 5 years ago. So that's interesting again, even if the date is 2000 or 2008, it's 5 years prior to that. Police believe the 8 victims, who were all single young men killed while jogging, were all murdered by the same person, and had circumstantial evidence linking Mr. Abrams to all the victims. No bodies were ever found, and Abrams never confessed, although he did admit to a weird obsession with the number 8. Now obviously, you know, the bodies have been found, or at least 5 of them. What isn't clear is quite why he became obsessed with the number 8, or what was like the voice or the imperative driving him to do it. We're still not clear on that. And again, we haven't found the final 3 bodies. Maybe someone has. Maybe one of you could find it for us.
Yeah, so that pretty much sums up the mystery of the Infinite 8 serial killer. We found all the bits of evidence sort of in the wrong order, but eventually, with the help of people on GTA forums and other GTA fan sites, we've managed to piece it all together and hopefully explain to you guys exactly what happened in San Andreas.
Okay, now if you like this kind of conspiratorial stuff, you would have seen hopefully our Mount Chiliad, the Grand UFO Conspiracy. That's another great video on the site. Please like this video if you've enjoyed it, and do subscribe to the channel because we have lots more conspiracy chit chat, plus live streams of GTA Online, plus tips and much more. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.